let's get started. All right, here we go. So you guys know the drill. We've got playing games today. We've got playing games tomorrow. The bracket kicks off Thursday afternoon, and we got to find a way. So depending on what type of tournament that you're in, let's bring up a bracket, not a giant black screen. There we go. So the way I was thinking about doing this, because the number one question I get from people is, hey, who should I pick for my bracket? And the honest answer, I have no idea. It depends on your tournament. It depends on the structure. Probably depends a little on the buy-in, all stuff like that. So I want to go through kind of different scenarios, like a chalk bracket, an upset bracket. Say you're playing in like the DraftKings one and there's 10,000 people in the small dollar. You can't just pick Duke and Florida with all the ones and all the twos. That's just not going to work. So we need to kind of plan for those type of things. And we're going to get that Cinderella story high point. I am wearing an Austin P sweatshirt because I've worn my High Point sweatshirt like 5 days in a row. And I love High Point. We're going to talk about them. I definitely think that they could be live. Don't sleep. I'm going to type it in just so society knows. High Point. Let's go. But honestly, we gave it a couple minutes. Let's begin. Let's get through it. So we're going to do this pretty simple. I'm going to go through the bracket. And again, if you have questions on teams, I'm happy to dig in more. But this is not for betting. I'll be doing betting videos over on OddsShopper. We're going to talk about all that. Not to worry. I got you covered. Portfolio EV, tails, get you some deals during this show. We're here to talk about brackets. So it's survive in advance, not cover the spread. That's a different video for a different time. Here we go. So step one will be to pick Auburn over whoever. I did bet. I give you a little alpha. I bet Alabama State tonight. In life, I do think they will have the pleasure of being absolutely smoked in a few days, but I think they're going to get a win tonight, which is cool. Yeah, there it is. Give me the winning bracket, my man, the man who makes this show go. But let's talk about it. Any love for Akron? We're going to get there. I think they're an interesting team because they play so fast, but they also drew a weird matchup because the team they're playing likes to play fast. But I'm going to start in the top left. So we've done the easy point part with Auburn. I'm going to go down. I'm going to do it this way. I'm not going to go one by one. I'm going to fill in, again, a pretty standard bracket here. No major upsets. Michigan State, Iowa State, even though they're going to miss one of their backcourt mates later in this tournament. Yale's an interesting team. I definitely think that they could give A&M a game, but A&M is so physical. Wade Taylor, I do think ultimately they're a dangerous team, both of them. But I am going to stick with Texas A&M again. There will be plenty of spots to leverage. I'm not sure that's one of them. Let's talk about Michigan and UC San Diego. The Tritons. The Tritons are the darlings right now. Everybody's talking about this team from the Big West. Now, they're a very cool team. No disrespect to them. They're 30-4. I don't care who you're playing. If you have 30 wins on the season, pretty damn good. They force a lot of turnovers. Michigan commits a lot of turnovers. All of these things are positives, but there are negatives to this situation. One, Michigan has two big-time bigs, and I don't think UC San Diego has the height to really deal with this. So this is going to be a popular 5-12 upset. Certainly think it's live, and again, we're going to make a couple versions. I'm going to go with Michigan here. We don't know who we're going to get here. North Carolina or San Diego State. Honestly, I'm just going to take whoever. I think it will be North Carolina. I'm not the biggest Ole Miss fan. Again, the SEC has 14 of these teams. It's not a huge deal for me because I'm probably going to have Iowa State coming out. And again, just to change up a little flavor. So what do we have left? We have 7-10. I like Marquette. Give me Cam Jones and the company there. New Mexico's a fine team. Again, the Mountain West gets a lot of love. But at the same time, they have not performed overly well. And I look at Marquette. They're kind of an interesting evaluation. A, how good is the Big East? I don't really know. And then B, at times, who else do they have? Kolek is on the Knicks now. They really could use him. Cam Jones is going to have to carry them at points. And I'm just not sure what to make of New Mexico. It's a team that offensively, they really struggle at times. Defensively, they're very good. Top 20 in a lot of metrics. They play fast, but offensively, not the best shooting team in the world, not my favorite team in the world. That is going to be a show. That's a great call out by chat. You have some really good players in that game. I'm going to give the edge to Marquette, but if you told me, again, someone like New Mexico moves on, sure. Then the last game here, Louisville and Creighton. I'm going to give Creighton the edge. I think Louisville kind of got hosed. A couple 8 seeds, I think, kind of got hosed, and Louisville is certainly one of them. 27-7 the ACC, balanced. They've made tremendous strides past Louisville teams who are certainly watching the tournament. But I still like Creighton. They've got Kalkbrenner on the inside. Ashworth, they're not, they lost some key pieces in the middle of the year. And I don't think they're super dangerous because, again, all roads probably end momentarily with Auburn. So that's kind of a 50-50 game. And if you're in a standard tournament, you're talking about 1 point. They do add up, particularly if you go chalky. You need to box out the other Florida teams, the other Auburn teams. But that's it. So first round, again, this bracket's going to be very generic. We've got a 1-9, 5-4, 11-3, and 7-2. Let's keep going here. Auburn, I'm not sure that either of these teams is really going to give them trouble, just too much in all areas. This will be a fun game if we get it. I don't think it's certainly a guarantee to get it. Michigan answers the challenge, man. I've been wrong on them a lot. I bet Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship against them. I like this Texas A&M squad, though. I'm going to go for the SEC rematch in this little pod. A&M did beat Auburn pretty recently. Now, that was in College Station, so let's not get crazy. But to me, that's a game that we ultimately could see in the top. Now, go down here. North Carolina or San Diego State, maybe. Somebody. Iowa State. I wanted to take Iowa State going far, and I will take them here. And I'll go very chalky to start off our bracket. I'm going to take Michigan State, and Auburn. So this is a very, again, if you're in a 10-man pool, a 15-man pool, and you're going by the book, I think this could be one of the more chalky regions of the bracket. We'll get to the Elite Eight at the end, and then we'll fill out, and then we'll do it all over again. But this is it. If you want potential upsets, I guess I can talk them as we do this. Of these games, I think Marquette, this could be something that you do. You want to go like this route and change it up a little bit. To me, Marquette is live to win multiple games. Michigan State's a damn good team. Richardson has been awesome. They've really come on late in the season. They know what they're doing. But I think Marquette is the type of team that can really cause problems. And I don't like Iowa State. So this is where it gets a little tricky, because what do you do in this region? Do you have, if you want to get really crazy, something like this, and then maybe you bring Michigan State out? These are the scenarios I think you need to work through, because Iowa State is banged up. Iowa State really has not looked good at the end of the season. That's where it's tricky. BYU handled them. Where do you knock them off? And then who do you have coming out of that region? So again, a couple different ways to change this. I'm going to keep saying this for people that are rolling in. I'm trying to make a more chalky bracket to start, and then we can tweak it for more and more leverage. So let's go to the West region, and then we'll look. And I'll also, don't worry, I got you guys covered. I promised you there's some deals. I'll tell you what's going on here at OddsShopper. We have so many exciting things, not just for March Madness, but just in general. So keep an eye on that. But let's talk about this. Okay. Florida Gators, my boys. And yes, they were. You can check the tape. I love this team. Been on them for quite a while, and now they're getting a lot of love out there. Okay, 8-9 here. Let's talk about this game. We're going to go a little in order. What does this do? Ooh, interesting. We can look at all this stuff that I don't really care about. Okay. There's probably some good info in there, but it doesn't matter. UConn and Oklahoma. Two-time defending champs with UConn. Hasn't been a good year. They can't really defend. That's what's killed them. Soda Ball can shoot. Caravan hasn't had the best year either, but it's their defense that really has let them down at times. Oklahoma, I'm not sure how good they are. They're 20-13. They're the opposite, or not the opposite. They're also offensively pretty strong. Defensively, I have my questions. I think this is a game theory type thing. I would imagine for most people, UConn is going to be a popular choice, just because when you get in an 8-9 game, you're kind of thinking coin flip anyway. And UConn for the past 2 years has made everybody that has picked them in any game a lot of money. And so I think people will default to that. And then, of course, most will have Florida destroying them, which I think is pretty reasonable. It's a 4.5-point spread. You're talking about Oklahoma sitting like plus 150 on the money line. I think that's a worthwhile team to take in a one-game spot there. So if you want to mix it up, nothing crazy. Now, 5-12s. We know they're popular. We know people love to take the 5-12s. In this case, it's not even an upset. I simply am going to take the team that is a slight favorite, and that is Colorado State, because I think they're just straight better. We have to keep an eye on the Memphis situation with Hunter, one of their key players. Check the injury news as we get closer to Friday. I'm doing this on a Wednesday. I don't even know what day it is. It's Tuesday afternoon. I like Colorado State in that game just straight up, though. Antelopes against Maryland. Grand Canyon at some point probably going to win one of these. I just don't think it's here. Crab 5. Maryland is going to get probably burned at some point because they have no depth. I just don't think it's against Grand Canyon. That's a team, just level of competition, it makes it tough. They can cause some challenges. They can do some things. But honestly, I don't know offensively if they can do it. Not against a team like Maryland. I don't think that's a great matchup at all. Fascinating matchup here. 6-11, Drake and Missouri. This is one, I think Drake will be a pretty trendy pick. You can always use the betting markets as a data point. I don't think you want to blindly go there unless you're, again, if you're trying to do like a top-down bracket, just going off the lines, you can do that. Spread's bigger than I thought. Drake plus 6.5. So this would be a more significant upset than I think people are realizing. Drake's had an awesome season. That coach is a genius. You know, he brought like a full D2 team to Drake and no problems somehow. I don't really understand that. They're 30-3. 30-3. Then you've got Missouri, who is on the opposite end of that. They played all sorts of teams. They've got 11 losses. But man, what a schedule. One of the best offensive teams around. They can really burn you in a lot of ways. Drake is going to be a team that's definitely live, but I will go with Missouri. Texas Tech and UNC Wilmington. It's kind of a greasy game, to be honest. Again, we're going to talk about crazy upsets after we go through this. Kansas and Arkansas. I'll give the nod to the Hogs. And you can kind of do this. This is one strategy too. Kind of macro buying on a conference. Now, it's a little different because it's the SEC. And you're macro buying a fifth of the tournament. But if you say like, okay, to go back, you know, I think Marquette is going to make a huge run. Well, if that's true and Marquette is like super underrated, there's a decent chance that St. John's is underrated or UConn is underrated and vice versa. If the conference is weak overall, the data points are probably weak for a lot of them. So that is a way you can do it. I don't think you need to go crazy with it, but just something to keep in mind. Sorry, Omaha, I don't see it. And now we've just got, again, a pretty standard bracket here. Definitely going Florida, Maryland. I'm going to go with Missouri. I think that Missouri is an interesting team. Texas Tech is someone, I'll be honest, wide range of outcomes in my mind. But when you have that, that's the type of team I like to short at times because I'm not sure what to make of them. They have a very deep run. And the offense, again, some of the metrics are very impressive for them. They're the type of team, if I do a bunch of brackets, I might have them going way out. Maybe they represent the region because you have to knock Florida off with somebody. But at the same time, I don't even know if they make it out of the first weekend. So for that, I think you can get a little nuts in the bottom left. Of the top left and the bottom left, to me, this is much more likely a chaotic situation. You got Arkansas and St. John's. I'll give the nod to the Johnnies, no problem. Florida and Maryland. I hope we get this game. I think there's a pretty good chance that we do get this game. Maryland, the problem with them is depth. I already mentioned that. Their starting five, I think, can go toe-to-toe with anybody, including Florida. But what happens when Florida rotates like their fourth big, their fifth big, because they have an unlimited amount of them? I worry about Maryland because of that. And so for that reason, like everybody else seemingly in society, I will give the nod to Florida. We're going to make, like I said, crazy bracket. And it's starting to get crazy right now because I'm going to take a stand. I'm kind of doing this on the fly. I charted out a couple different scenarios. I'm going to take a stand with Missouri. I don't like the 2 or the 3 here. St. John's is just such a cool team, but they can't shoot. And if you do look at a lot of those trends and stuff, I'm not a big advocate of that, but a lot of the balanced nature of what you need to make deep runs, St. John's simply does not have. Their offense is just not good enough. Their defense is just outstanding. It's so good. But offensively, at some point, it's going to catch up to them. Where? I don't really know. But I think if you get into some of these games, and Arkansas will be competitive, or Kansas, and Missouri will be competitive. But this sets up what would be a really interesting, again, SEC clashes all over the place. So let's pause there. We'll go to the right side of the bracket. Again, chat, if you have any questions, you guys let me know. Got some good people. Pat Mayo's in here, of course. High Point. I'm wounded from Tommy Fleetwood not being able to make simple putts last night. I'm licking my wound, so I need to win the bracket pool to get all that money back, as Ricky killed me at the Players and then in TGL. Very, very sad times. But before I start breaking down the East, I want to mention to you guys, we have so much cool stuff. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of it, but if you're not, if you haven't seen our tools, Portfolio EV, everything that we've got going on here, I'll actually bring some of it up real quick. It's just, again, it can make the difference in what you're doing. Do you need it for your bracket? No, it can be a great data point, but you know what you could use it for? Extra money for more brackets. I've been using it for DFS entries. I've been using it for, I'm going to be playing in so many bracket pools because of this. Powerful, powerful stuff. If you don't know how it works, it's very simple. All it is, it's using back-tested data to find bets in all different markets. So you go here, and you say, okay, this is pretty simple. I want to know in the last month how the NBA has been doing at these books, because I play on FanDuel, and I play on Caesars, and I play on DraftKings, and I play, what else? Just say those 3, whatever, that's fine. Okay, let me just see what's going on. It says, boom, all of these results pop up for you instantly. And it says, wow, okay, 3-pointers, man, 7% ROI. That's incredible. Boom, you find the markets that you want, you build a portfolio, and then when you go here, you click the portfolios you want, and the bets that fit that criteria pop up instantly. You're alerted, you place your bets, and you're in business. You're talking about massive, massive gains for your ability to build a bankroll. So if you haven't checked it out, it's worth your time. And of course, because it's March Madness, look at that, 68% off. The code is DANCE. DANCE. Very simple. I will throw the link in the description of this video as I multitask, but it is worth it. You also get a 7-day trial on top of it. Really, really cool stuff. Worth the price of admission. The chalky upset I'm fading is San Diego. You see San Diego. I don't think they're going to beat Michigan. I really don't see it. It's no disrespect to them. I simply don't see it. I think Michigan is a solid bet, and I think they're going to win that game. Back to it. Duke against whoever that is, American, or I think Mount St. Mary's. I honestly don't know the other team. We'll skip this. Oregon. Okay, let's talk about this. The Ducks against the Flames. I think we saw this in football in the bowl game. Maybe not, but maybe. Liberty's a real interesting team. Really good 3-point shooting team. They play at a snail's pace. Oregon's in Seattle. That absolutely helps. And they've played some big-time teams from non-con. They look good. Obviously, the Alabama game stands out. How good is Liberty? Conference USA is pretty weak. 28-6 on the year is nice. They're going to have to make a lot of threes in this game to hang. You can say that for a lot of teams. For that reason, going to go Ducks, but keep an eye on that game. Interesting 5-12. Probably one of the lesser upset picks, too. We had a question about Akron earlier. This is a fun game. High total. It's going to be up and down. Stylistically, I'm not sure what to make of that because Akron wants to play fast. They're 16th in tempo per KenPom, one of the best offenses of the mid-majors. But they're playing Arizona. Arizona wants to play fast. Arizona's a great offense. So it's like you're playing an upgraded version of yourself. And that to me is a little freaky. I actually think Arizona's a super dangerous team in the bracket. Talk about that in a bit. Let's go down here. BYU and VCU. BYU beat Iowa State. Looked good, and then Houston does what Houston does. If they hit their threes, BYU is a super potent team. But if they don't, I really, really worry about this team here. So this is where I think this pod could get really wacky. I'm going to go with BYU, but definitely a competitive game. And now let's talk about this game. Montana, Money Williams. If you're looking for a weird team, this is a team to put on the list. I'm not sure I'm ready to call straight upset, but they're definitely live. There's no doubt about that. They've got some equity in this game. Of course, they don't play the schedule of a team like Wisconsin. It's a massive spread. So the prudent move to me would be actually to take the points and not take an upset of this magnitude in your bracket. But I think Montana could cause some problems for Wisconsin. Going to click Wisconsin here. St. Mary's and Vanderbilt. I do like St. Mary's. I think that them and Gonzaga both will represent themselves really well in this bracket. Westy Doggy. Portfolio EV is definitely worth it. Yes, it is. It absolutely is. I'm telling you. You get 7 free days, so you have nothing to lose. Try it for 7 days, and if you don't like it, cancel. No harm, no foul. But absolutely click that link and get your 7 free days. Do I believe in the narrative that 1 and 2 seeds that start the year unranked have done bad historically? Kind of, in the sense that, unless... You know what? Actually, let me take that back. I think it's less important than it used to be because of the concept of transfers. Typically, when you would talk about something like that, a team would have to really overachieve. But the way that the structure of the leagues are now, you may not be noticed because you brought in 8 transfers and then you gel. And that's just an unpredictable nature that we didn't have in the past. Sure, we had freshmen. You have some one and dones, but that's more reserved for elite teams that were always going to be ranked. How often now do you get a team like Drake where they bring in a whole new team and they're really effective? So that is something that I think does skew that stat. I've seen it. Alabama, we'll talk about them in a second. Again, we've gone straight chalk here. Baylor, Mississippi State, I'm going to go actually perfect chalk so far. Now, Duke, Cooper Flagg, seems like he's good to go. No problems. Duke will play Arizona. I can't wait to see this game. I think we're going to get this game, and we'll talk about that. This is where it can get weird. I'm going to take BYU and take Alabama. I think BYU is a super dangerous team to go deep. But, and I hate teams like this, but I have to mention it, they are in a dogfight in the first round. It's a 2.5 point spread. So it's the type of team, big upside, bad floor. So if you're looking for a team that you say, man, I don't want to potentially lose a Sweet 16 team, you might have to go chalk and go Wisco along those lines or whatnot. You could go VCU and Wisconsin. That's a combination. I don't think VCU has much equity to make the Sweet 16, so I think you're dividing it basically between only 2 teams in BYU and Wisconsin. But that is a thing that you can do, and I think if BYU continues to shoot like they have at times, they're going to be a tough out for anyone. St. Mary's and Alabama. This is not a walkover type game at all. St. Mary's plays at a crazy slow pace. Alabama plays at a crazy tempo. The other direction. Clash of styles. Interesting matchup. But St. Mary's can cause some problems for them. There's no doubt about it defensively. Now, the big news, and I was just reading about this before I went live, Grant Nelson. It looks like, from what I read, Nate Oates said that he's okay and that they dodged it. He hurt a knee or a leg or something against Florida. If they can get him back, I think Alabama is crazy dangerous. And I'm going to operate that he's okay. Him and Sears will lead the way here. Alabama. This is where I think, again, every bracket you make, you want to pair it with what type of tournament that you're in. Small field, co-workers, nobody knows what's going on. You can go very chalky and feel good about it. If you're in a pool with hundreds of people, you need to make a stand. You need to change it up. You don't need to go crazy. Don't have a 15 in the Final Four. But don't be afraid to take some shots. And for me, this is a region I'm taking some shots. Arizona and Alabama meet. I think that Arizona has the tools. They've played some really good teams close. They just had Houston on the ropes at least for one half, and then they melted. Caleb Love's got all the experience in the world. And ironically, Arizona has been absolutely garbage in the tournament. As a 1, as a 2. They lost to Prince. All these bad showings. As a 4, I think they're a little undervalued. I think offensively they can cause some problems. They're going to give Duke problems. And I think the nice thing here, even if you don't get them, you can get a kind of a double shot with it, because I like Alabama to come out of the region. So say this is just Duke. Well, if Alabama beats Duke anyway, you only lose the points for this specific matchup. So that's something to think about with brackets. You know, when you make your stand, sometimes you need to play defense, and you just need to hope that your leverage play, even if it doesn't hit, doesn't get punished from multiple rounds. That's where you get into a lot of trouble with brackets. If you're not picking up any points over time, and other people are just picking up a million points. So there's that last region, and then we'll recap and we'll run through a couple different scenarios before I get out of here. Again, if you have any questions on any of this, I would hope you know my Twitter handle, because you're watching right now. And everyone watching, first of all, I can't say how much I appreciate it. I love talking college basketball. I love brackets. You guys are making this a ton of fun. So if you have questions, I'm happy to answer anything about it. Houston, the Cougars against the SIU Edwardsville Cougars. So battle of the Cougars. Houston's a very, very, very dangerous team. The spread on this is a lot. Let me see what it is, actually. What is the spread on the Houston game? Well, I may never find it. 28.5. So maybe they can cover it, but I don't know. I don't really care. Gonzaga is going to be really popular, but they should be. They're not an 8 seed. They shouldn't be an 8 seed, I should say. I think it's a ridiculous seeding. I think most people think it's a ridiculous seeding. It sucks for Georgia. Georgia's a good team. But man, all right, skipping this for a second. This is going to be another popular upset pick. I get it. I'm personally going to go Illinois. But this is a lot of people are going to have this as a leverage play. I totally get it. And I think this is where the bracket could get really weird, right down here. Don't be surprised if you even see some people go like that. Now, obviously, some people may say, if Texas wins, I'm doing that. I think it's less likely if Xavier wins. I'm not super on this wavelength, to be honest. I don't really like Kentucky in this spot. But at the end of the day, I think that Tennessee will just handle this entire pod. UCLA and Utah State's a toss-up to me. I don't think either are a serious threat for Tennessee. I think Tennessee's actually a team that I wanted to short because they can't score at times. Who in their region is really going to cause them those problems, though? That's what freaks me out about it. And for that reason, I'll have Tennessee coming out, but I promise you guys a little craziness. And let's just get crazy. High Point. This is the team, the Magic team. Matchup against Purdue. When I saw the bracket, I, as a High Point fan, again, been on this team the entire year, I would have taken this. If you told me I could roll the dice or get Purdue, I would have said, give me Purdue. Positives. So let's talk about this. High Point. Positives, they've got 29 wins on the season. They beat North Texas. They beat, I believe they beat UAB. They can really score. Really score. This is an electric team. Everybody can shoot threes. You don't want to mess around with High Point. They can outscore you. Bad news. Their defense sucks. Not for a tournament team. It just sucks overall. It's just bad. It's a straight bad defense. I would know. I've watched it. it's going to be Braden Smith and Purdue, who have a really good offense, Kaufman Wren. This is going to be a problem, a big problem. But I'd rather have it this way than the other way, where it's a team that struggles to score. At least High Point can shoot. And if you do that, you always have a chance. We saw it with Furman a couple years ago. Now they're playing Virginia, who was very dusty at the time. High Point can score, and they are dangerous. They're going to have to make a bunch of them, but they'll take them, and I think they can make them. Let's double down on the craziness. McNeese State. Look at this. This is what I'm talking about. This is the kind of weird stuff that if you want to get crazy, particularly say you're in a bracket, I don't really want to talk about formats. If you're in a bracket where you get extra points for higher seeds, this is the type of thing you should seriously consider. If you're in a pretty standard bracket, Fibonacci scoring, 1, 2, 4, 8, that style, this is more unnecessary, but I do think it's possible that you get straight carnage in this pod. I don't really like Clemson. Purdue is obviously the team with the highest equity to get out, but you could see McNeese and High Point clash. And if you get that, what a ridiculous run out this is, because Houston and Gonzaga are amazing. McNeese and High Point, that would just be a bizarre game. The winner of this, man, the craziest run out would be this. This is not impossible, what's on my screen. I'm telling you right now, this could happen. The more traditional run out, obviously, is going to be this. So, again, dealer's choice. I will tell you this much. I don't obviously know what the spread will be, but if you get Houston and Gonzaga, I would have that spread around 5 points, something like that. Nothing too crazy. Houston and Gonzaga is a serious, absolute back and forth test. That is not a joke of a game. Gonzaga can beat them. Gonzaga's offense is extremely strong. Gonzaga's defense is better than you would think it would be for a Gonzaga team. This isn't Chet and Suggs and those type of teams. But you know what? Nemhardt's got experience. Ike on the inside. The problem is Houston is awesome. Really good. They always play good defense. They're always extremely aggressive. They need to be healthy like everybody else. But Cryer and these guards can shoot. Sharp can shoot. That is the problem with all of this. So for that reason, Houston, I think, is the team for me. And if it gets to here, I'm definitely taking Houston. I don't like Tennessee at all. Okay. So we've got Alabama and Houston on this side. We got to go back over here and figure this out. Auburn and Michigan State. I for some reason, I don't think we're ever going to see this game. Not for some reason. It's unlikely we see this game. Let's be real. But if we do, I'm going to go with Auburn like everybody else. And this would be, again, this is how I'm doing this. I like this. We're going to go very chalky here. So you've got Auburn, Florida, Alabama, and Houston. 3 SEC teams and 3 1 seeds. You're going to see people's Final Fours look like this. You're going to see this. You're going to see this. Dealer's choice, Florida. That is, I think, a very reasonable bracket. Highly effective. I like what we did here. I feel good about this. I will have brackets that look like this in the right pools. So there we have it. But what do you say we run through one more real quick for the people and get a little weird and not put what I think is just straight chalk in all of this? So I'm going to do that. Again, if you're around, you're hanging out for lunch, you're at work, don't worry about whatever you have to do at work. This is where you want to be. So let's clear this all out. We're going to clear it and we're going to run it back. We'll go a little quicker. Also, I do want to mention, I hope you guys know I'll be betting all these games. It's going to get wild. If you want my betting takes, if you want to hang out with me and the fellas in the community, come and do it. Again, OddsShopper.com. It's here for you. Talked about these tools, but also Tails. If you have not been on Tails, it's our marketplace where we have so many different people. I'm on there as well. And this is, you get the notifications. I'm betting all sorts of crazy stuff. The Suns, that was good. The Flames last night, they gave up 6 goals. Thank you for your service. Alabama State there. And it's not just that, you get right into our Discord. So again, if you want that information, I'll put this up on the screen for you guys. Again, it's a community. I'm in there. It's a lot of great people. We're talking college basketball, brackets, baseball, basketball, soccer, whatever you want. Come on in. Again, give it a week. Chill out. my recommendation, of course, would be get some of the tools. You get a little Discord action from here. You're rocking and rolling, making money all over the place. But I just want to make sure you guys are aware of that. If you have any questions, again, just hit me up here at Jazz Bets. Laid back community. You know how I am. If you guys know me, I don't take myself too seriously. Let's do it again. Here we go. Okay. Now I want to be clear. I'm going to be a little more aggressive here. I'm going to do some things that I think could be for a large field. If I was going to build a bracket for, say, a 1,000-person tournament, something like that. And let's see where we end up here. So here we go. I'm going to stick with a lot of the same principles. I don't see great upsets there. I'll switch a couple things around, as you can see. But all in all, still pretty chalky to start. But I'm going to start taking a couple things here like this. I think Marquette is a dangerous team. And so there are two different ways to be different. One is taking teams like Yale, like right off the bat. The other is taking a good team to go deep. And we've seen that many, San Diego State, obviously UNC is like an 8. Those are the type of things that you can also do. Change it up a little bit here. Still going to have Auburn coming out, but it looks a little different. And you can do that. So in the West, again, Florida, I'll go UConn. What's the difference? I'm going to stick with Colorado State because I really don't like Memphis. Maryland, I'll go Drake. I'll go Texas Tech. Switch this, St. John's. So you look similar, but nothing crazy so far. Go St. John's and Texas Tech. So actually a little more traditional on this version. We had Missouri coming out the last time, but this is where I think you could leverage if you want to be different. Somebody's going to have to get Florida, and I think Maryland does have the talent to do that. I am convinced that Florida's the best overall team, but again, so is everybody else. So what about a matchup like that? This is going to be very different if you get to this type of breakdown, and if you can get Florida out of there. That is something that will bust a lot of brackets. For the total, Laffy on Florida, Houston, what's a good number? Like, it's going to be a weird clash of styles. I'll say like 147. Yeah, 147 is good. Maryland and Texas Tech. You know what? If Maryland can beat Florida, let's put them in there. We'll go Maryland and Auburn. See, this is very different already. Now, Duke. I do like Mississippi State over Baylor. Oregon and Liberty. Oregon, Arizona. I'm going to go VCU, Wisconsin, St. Mary's, and Alabama. So again, 1-8, 5-4, 11-3, 7-2. Nothing crazy there. This is where I think you could do something weird. Say Grant Nelson's not 100%. Let's have St. Mary's coming out, and we'll move Wisconsin through twice. So they kind of box us out. So even if we're wrong about St. Mary's versus Alabama, we give ourselves coverage with Wisconsin. We really need them to get through. So we're kind of hoping that VCU can handle business right here. But this is how you can kind of have some insurance that even if you get it wrong, you might be able to get it right. I'm going to have Duke. I'm going to stick with Arizona, but I'll go Duke and Wisco here. And I'll actually take Duke. A lot of people are going to do that. I'm not the biggest Duke fan out there, but I do think you can certainly move them through if that's the team that you're looking for. Houston, Gonzaga, Clemson. I'm sticking with High Point to the end again. They're 9.5-point underdogs. You know what you're getting into. Just keep that in mind. I go with, I do think that's going to be Texas. Go here. And I'm going to do this. This is where I think we're going to see some chaos. Putting Gonzaga all the way through. You've got Kentucky and Xavier. I'll do this. I'll go here. I'll put Kentucky out. I don't think a lot of people are going to do this. Certainly not an 8 and a 3. That's borderline insane. But I don't think a lot of people are going to have a lot of love for Kentucky because I'm not sure Troy gives them much of a game. But the winner of this certainly will. And then certainly Kentucky and Tennessee. We feels like we've seen them 5 times this year. That's certainly a game that's going to have some real firepower to it. But this is the type of bracket. This can get really wacky quickly. So if you look for this, this could be a way to separate, like I said, from a lot. Let's recap the top right. We did that. We've got Duke and Wisco. Okay, so we just need a Final Four team here. I'm going to go Kentucky. Duke and Kentucky, Auburn and Maryland. Different, still 2 1 seeds. I think some of that's unavoidable. You know, if you want to go off the wall, but these 1 seeds are elite teams. I think the 2 seeds are elite. There's nothing crazy to me about that. And then, honestly, I think all these matchups are somewhat realistic. This would be by far the craziest. I don't think we're getting that. We certainly could get this. So if you do something like this, even though you have 2 1 seeds in the finals, you are going to be one of 2 things. This is always a weird dynamic when you do pools like this. If you hit your final, you will 100% either be clear or you'll be dead no matter what. You still might hit the final and lose. What I mean by that is you're going to have Gonzaga when everyone else has Houston. You're going to have Maryland when everyone else has Florida. You're going to have Kentucky where most have Tennessee. You're going to have Wisconsin where most have Alabama. You're certainly going to have Marquette where almost everybody's going to have Michigan State. You don't need them all, but you need some of them. If you get those right, you will box out the other Duke-Auburn combinations. If you get it wrong, you will be boxed out. So you have to kind of dealer's choice that Auburn over Duke. Fascinating game if we get it. I'll just be honest. I hope we do not get this. If I built one bracket, it would not look like this. I'm much more prone to build what we built at the beginning with a couple small tweaks and go the Houston, Florida route. I think that's much better than this. But I like the way this looks with the Maryland and Kentucky leverage. I don't think those are going to be super popular picks. And I think both of those teams are extremely live to make a very deep run in this tournament. Here we have it, chat. We just ran through 2 iterations of the brackets. I'll give you some quick thoughts on the way out. And I can't stress enough. I'm just going to put it on the screen one more time, and I will throw it in chat. If you are looking to seriously make money betting, and if you've been saying, man, you know, my 2025, feel like I'm getting close, but I can't see it. I'm telling people, I don't know. I don't have a process. Come and give Portfolio EV a try. I'm just telling you, you DM me or anyone on the team, you get in our Discord, and you're going to see hundreds of people that are using these tools. And you're going to quickly find out that this is the future of betting. This is the way to do it. It doesn't mean you can't bet some 5-leg parlays for the first day of the tournament. I certainly am going to be doing that. But it does mean you're going to have some extra money to do just that because these are proven, backed up by the data. We've got the edges on the books and we know where. That's the key. We know where. Not every market has an edge, but the ones that do, we've exploited it. Simple as that. Few thoughts on the way out of the crazy teams. Everyone wants to know, you know, Cinderella, who is it? I think that right here, McNeese and High Point, these are 2 teams that are very, very dangerous. If you wanted a complete team from the clouds that nobody is talking about, that could pull a random upset, it would be UNC Wilmington. But I'm not planning to do that. I don't think it's necessary. I can't get them off the screen. So let me just hide that before people think I'm some type of UNC Wilmington fan. Gonzaga and Houston, to me, could be the game of the entire tournament. And I think if I could have one free spot in my whole bracket where a genie would say, okay, I will grant you a wish. What game do you want to know the outcome to? It would be Gonzaga and Houston. I think this determines the entire Midwest region, the winner of this game. And it's going to be an absolute doozy. Of the 4-1 seeds, I actually think Duke could be in the most trouble. I don't love their path. I actually think that all of these teams could give them some trouble. So they're a great team. The metrics look good. We don't know how good the ACC is. If you don't think it's any good, Duke could be a team that could get picked off. And maybe the SEC is that good. These are the questions that we have to answer. Final thing for me, I just want to mention, if you're betting the games, I'm going to be doing this again. Let me know. You want to see this exact video, but I do it from spreads, totals, things like that. If you want a betting version, maybe I'll fire up X tomorrow and do it again. Maybe same time, same place. Let me know, guys. But again, thanks a bunch for tuning in. Appreciate everybody. Let's win some money on some brackets. So if you have any questions, let me know. And until next time, good luck. Talk to you soon.